that we have discussed, right? So now what we will go ahead and discuss is about a very important concept of how exactly are we going to have a SAP project. Now this concept is very important for everyone who is working in SAP. Okay, so what's the concept? That the name of the concept is system landscape. SAP system landscape. Now, whenever we do the configuration part or when we create a program, there will be a pop-up that comes which actually asks for a transport request. For that we need to understand the concept, what's happening in the backend. Now for this, let's go and understand from a very simple perspective. Now assume that you are having a ICICI bank account, and then you have got another bank account which is an HDFC. Now you simply want to transfer your amount from ICICI account to HDFC account for some reason. Now if you are transferring some 10,000 from your account 1, okay, so it can be any bank 1 account, so account 1 to account 2. Now you have to initiate this process from here, and then you need to receive it from into the bank 2. Now when you are initiating the website from where you are doing it in the ICICI open, then you transferred it asks for the OTP and you gave the OTP, and then suddenly the website crashed, okay, and you are not able to see it in HDFC nor in the ICICI. It's stuck in the somewhere in the middle process. Now when you try to contact the the customer service department, they will tell you that it is under the maintenance. So and then you ask, next question would be like, when is this maintenance going to be up, when it's going to be completed? Now if they say that it would take 2 to 3 months, you would be shocked, like anyone would be shocked, like what exactly is this time frame? Like 2 to 3 months is a crazy time. No customer will be able to wait for such a long time, and that too the website went off in the middle of the business hours. So these all are not acceptable, not just for the bank transaction, any online transactions which you do. It's not acceptable that the system will be down for such a long time and the system is going down immediately just like that. So to avoid that, in any software what they do is they have a landscape which allows us to do the development in a way different environment, testing in another environment, and then going live into the business in another environment. So on the bottommost level we'll have something called development server. On top of it we'll have something called the quality or test server. On top of it we'll have a server called production server. So these are the 3 servers that we normally have here, which allow us to move our developments from development to quality, quality to production. Okay, so for this process to happen, from moving our developments from development to quality, quality to production, we need to have some system which is called transport organizer. I'll explain about the transport organizer in detail, but let's first understand. So why most of the companies in projects will have 3 services? Any program development or customization or configuration, any configuration that we have done, we'll be doing in the development server. Once it's been successful, then we will go ahead and move it to the quality or testing server, where this configurations or even the ABAP coding also, means there is a coding language called ABAP. So ABAP coding also we will be doing it in the development server, and from there it moves to the quality or testing server. And how it is moved and who will be moving it is something which I'll explain you later, okay. But the quality or testing server is where the testing will happen, and they'll check there will be lot of different types of tests that happens. So once all this test is complete, then they will be able to move to the production. So the production is where the actual business happens. Now let's go back to our main our example of the bank transaction. Let's say now let's go back to the same scenario of you transferring the amount, but ICICI bank clearly keeps informing you, sending SMSs, giving a call, and a website also they will inform that uh, one fine day, like let's say today is say 13th. Now on 1st of December, 1st of December, maybe take it as a some any one Saturday. Okay, so let's say yeah, let's say we have a 6th of December is a Saturday. So 6th of December Saturday, the server will go down and the websites will not work from midnight 12 to morning 4, just 4 hours. 4 hours the system will not be working. At 4 o'clock am again the systems will be up. So in that 4 hours of time, what they do is they move all the developments that are being properly tested in the quality server into the production server where the business actually happens. So not just for any portals or enterprise portals or anything like that, for any software we generally follow this process. Okay, so this is the best way to go ahead and make sure that the business does not impact with our changes. Clear? So yeah, so whatever we do right now, the login we will be logging into the development server and doing all the work in the projects. Okay, so whatever we are learning, we'll be doing it in the development server, then we'll move to the quality, and then we'll move to the production.
And understand anything about SAP or the finance, we need to understand what exactly is the concept behind it. See, basically, in the 1960s, they had a thought of going ahead with MRP. MRP is Material Resource Planning, which actually was a consolidation of everything that is required for the logistics. For example, like even before that we had all the departments, right? Now we have got the, say, manufacturing department, we have got the production department, we have got a quality department, and we've got a lot of departments. For each department they were trying to actually automate this through some process. So instead of that they have instead of that they thought that material resource planning should consolidate and start working on all the modules which are related to the finance, I mean like the manufacturing part. So it worked as MRP, but then there were some 5 IBM employees who thought actually that why don't we design a software in such a way that all departments can work on a single software. In general, for all these days, for human resources, they were using uh, a different solution, a different software solution, and then finance we have a different solution, and for manufacturing we have a different solution. So even now also there are some popular solutions for this, like for finance we have something called Tally, for human resources we have something called Workday, for manufacturing we have something called Ramco. So we've got a lot of different tools which actually takes care of one particular department. But the idea of these 5 employees in IBM in 1960s was to design a single software on which all the departments can work. Just like your smartphone has 40 different devices imbibed into it, like the camera, calendar, alarm watch, there are 40 plus devices like this which are imbibed into one particular device. So they came out in 1972. This ex IBM employees started an organization called SAP. So SAP AG was primarily started in 1972, and the company name is SAP AG, and it was started in Waldorf. Waldorf is a place in Germany. So this became quite popular within Germany, and then they started building uh, building the um, software for in English. Initially, they started off it in German language, but then they started off it in English. So in 1980s, it became quite popular across the world. Like all the top companies started using SAP. Now, in 1970s, when they started this software, the name of the software happens to be real-time software. Then you have got something called real-time two-tier software. Then 1990s, we got real-time three-tier software. Then in 2000, so real-time three-tier software happens to be something like SAP R by 3. So we have got this real-time three-tier software SAP R by 3, and in this, like, we have got lot of versions in SAP R by 3. We got SAP R by 3. We got a lot of versions. We got 3.02. We have got 4.6, 4.7 version, 4.7C. So 4.7C is the version that we have here. So it's written something like SAP R by 3, 4.7 C or 4.7 EE Enterprise Edition. Okay, so then they started off, they renamed it. So basically, initially they wanted to highlight these two features of the software called real time and three tier. So these are the two features, two concepts. But then, what is real time, what is three tier is something which you'll understand. But this is something which we have got. We have got. So we have got this features. So we have couple of features here. Those features we will understand that. Okay. Now here, let's go ahead with. And let me tell you that these are there are a lot of versions of this software from SAP R by 3, 3.0 and 4.7. So in between we have lot of versions like 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, something like that, and we have ABCs also. So for example, in 4.7 we had got 4.7A, 4.7B. So these are all features that we have. So in 2000, the software they featured something called ECC. ECC stands for ERP Central Component. Just the name changed, but the features were almost the same with an enhanced version. Of course, every new version of the software came with enhanced versions. In 2010, they introduced a new concept called HANA database. So what is HANA database and how it works is something which we'll understand in detail in the coming sessions. So on HANA database, whatever they started, that software name is called SAP S by 4 HANA. So in the past, it used to be called as SAP R by 3, and then it was renamed as ECC, and now it is referred to as S4 HANA. So in this, like, we need to understand where exactly our module comes. But even before we start ahead with the specific module, we need to first understand what exactly we have discussed till now. There is a concept and there is a company, and then there is a version. Now, what is the concept is, let's say a concept is car. The company name is BMW and version is some X7. So, who can manufacture a car? Anybody can manufacture a car. It need not be a BMW only. There are a lot of companies who manufacture cars. Similarly, uh, the concept that we are talking about is ERP, and the company name is SAP, and version is something like S/4HANA, which is the latest one. So, if I have to call any particular object as a car, it should have some basic features of a car. And what are the basic features of a car? It should have wheels, it should move from one place to another place, right? So these are very basic features. If I show you a chair and I call it as a car, no one will accept it because it does not have a basic features of a car. Similarly, ERP also has some basic features that we need to understand very clearly, in which SAP is one of the leading company, world's number one company from more than 50 years, which manufactures lot of versions of ERP. Just like BMW manufactures a lot of cars with lot of names, SAP also manufactures a lot of softwares which are based on ERP primarily. When I say primarily, they have other solutions as well, enterprise solutions which are quite popular. Like for example, CRM, customer relationship management, or business intelligence. So these are all different versions or different solutions that SAP provides, which actually caters to a different requirement of a company. And which companies that ERP SAP actually provides solutions for? Huge business organizations. Now, huge business organizations are always referred to as enterprises. So ERP stands for enterprise resource planning. So, who can manufacture ERP softwares? Anyone can manufacture ERP softwares. It's not just SAP. Any other company also can manufacture ERP softwares. So, any software which can plan the resources of an enterprise, plan the resources of an enterprise. So, any software which is used for planning the resources of enterprise is called ERP software, right? So in this ERP software, there are a lot of features that we have which needs to be understood. Okay, so primarily the major objective of ERP is to make sure all the modules work on that particular software. For example, finance, accounting, costing, or manufacturing, human resources, everything should work on the single software. That's the whole idea here. Okay, so now in this, where our particular specific module, for example the finance, will come, these all things we'll understand. We'll quickly wrap up what we have here. Okay, so let's get started with what exactly is SAP ERP. So ERP, so we need to first understand about the concept of ERP. So what is an ERP? ERP stands for uh, ERP. Before we start with the concept of ERP, we just understand this. We just understood this, like what is concept, what is organization, what is version. So car is a concept, BMW is a version. BMW is an organization, and X7 is the car model. Similarly, ERP is a concept. SAP is a company who manufactures a lot of softwares, in which S4 HANA is one of them. And we have got a lot of versions in S4 HANA as well, 1609, 1708, something like that. So what exactly is ERP stands for? Can you just tell me? We have discussed just now. Exactly. So enterprise resource planning. So what is an enterprise? Exactly, that's right. So enterprise, we can, in general terms, in simple terms, we can call it as a huge business organization. So any huge business organization can be referred to as enterprise, in which we have got a lot of resources. Okay, so what are the resources that we have in an organization? Okay, okay, that's right. That's right. So we generalize that as 6 M's. It's a very popular note. We use it from very olden days, but now the names have slightly changed. But these are referred to primarily as 6 M's: money, manpower, materials, machinery, marketing, methods. In which manpower is something which is now referred to as human resources. Okay, so it's now referred to as human resources. So these are all the 6 M's. Which, so what is planning? Is planning is utilization and optimization of the resources. So we are going to effectively utilize and optimize the resources. That's the main primary source, primary concept of planning. So any software in the world which is used for planning the resources of an enterprise can be referred to as ERP software, and it can be manufactured by any organization other than SAP as well. So now if you understand which departments actually deal with a resource called money, is finance department. Yeah, yeah, finance, accounting and costing basically handle the money. And who handles the materials? Materials are handled by warehouse department, transportation, yeah, material management and purchasing. And who takes care of the marketing? Sales, marketing and distribution. Now manpower is something like, manpower is where we actually take care of manpower using the various departments, EHS, HR, training and all. So then we have got the machinery. Machinery is something which we make use of with, it is being handled by production department, quality analysis, production planning, control, maintenance departments. And methods is taken care by the corporate administration department, research and development, supply chain management, customer relationship management. These are all the various departments which takes care of all these resources. Now, all these departments normally are automized in most of the organizations. So, for example, like let's say if we assume an example here. Now, in this example, the HR department is taken care by a software which is based on Java. It has got its own database and own operating system. Similarly, we have got finance department is taken care by Tally, and this maintenance is being taken care by the Sybase, C++, software which is manufactured is based on C++. Then we've got sales. Sales is taken care by a software which is based on Visual Basic. So the idea here is a different solution for different departments is being taken care, and then in which we have got the databases. So we have the database in the backend, and we have got the operating system, right? So this is what we have. So now what we have is, like, we will go ahead with So in this, the problem here is like, see, if you enter some data into HR department, that cannot be accessed by the finance department, and the finance department, whatever you enter the data, will not be available in the production department. So this issue will come. So because of, to avoid this kind of a communication gap, so basically what is happening in this particular scenario is each department is automized or automated, but they cannot they cannot communicate between them. They cannot communicate between themselves. So that is the main problem. So for that, we need the integration of business. So why do we need the integration of businesses? If we take a simple example of customer giving an order, okay, customer placed an order, and the customer simply want to know the status of their order. So first the customer gives a call to the customer service department. The customer service department has to consult with lot of other departments, and finally they need to get the final output. So just to answer a customer call, customer service department has to scan from so many departments and know exactly what is the status of their order. Is it delivered, not delivered? If it is not delivered, where exactly is the status? These all things will be there in this. So this is the process that we have here. Now to to avoid, I mean, like so instead of that, we are going for a single software on which all the departments work, single database and single operating system. So with this kind of a setup, what will happen is we are going to use from one department. If you enter some data, for example, if you enter some data from sales department, it goes into the database, and finance department can take it away, take it from the next moment, real time. That's called real time. Real time in the sense, if it's happening right now, you are seeing it. So if you are watching a live match or a live class, it's real time. But if you are watching a recorded one, it's not real time. So what we are trying to tell here is that any department enters data, the other departments can see that in the real time, provided they have the security access. So this is something which is the concept of ERP. Any ERP in the world should be able to handle all the resources and all the departments of an organization, so that it will be useful for our operations. So we've got an expanded effort to ERP is an expanded effort to integrate marketing, financial, manufacturing and human resources in a single information system. Standardized record keeping permits information sharing throughout the organization. So you got a single integrated software program, single database, information shared and communicated, automates customer orders, order fulfillments, billing, shipping, etc. And tracking also is very easy. So which ERP softwares? Like we have got Microsoft Dynamics 365, Oracle NetSuite, Sage Intact, and Work Order, Workday, Info, SAP. These are all the various other ERP softwares that we have. But Microsoft and Oracle entered this game quite after SAP has established itself as a global player. So in the first 18 years, SAP didn't had a big competitor in ERP sector. So they grew very fast in the 1972 to 1990. And in 1990s, slowly all the other players entered into this ERP solutions. Even though SAP is still maintaining that number one position in the world because of its credibility, its experience, and its innovation that it is dedicated to. It spends a lot of money for making sure that the client has got the best solution in the world. So that's the reason a lot of companies in the world use SAP's ERP solution. So if you look at a global market share, 62% of the market share of ERP is taken away by SAP. And by SAP, it has got 50 plus years of experience, and it has got it's a monopoly for first 18 years. And so if you see iPhone, like the moment we see iPhone, you get that credibility and trust feeling. A lot of people throughout the world believe that Apple's products are very good, and even though they are costly, they are reliable. So it has proved its credibility in the past. Like if you see in the past, iPhones have already performed the best way. Similarly, SAP also performed the best in the ERP sector. Now, now what exactly we are going to do in SAP software? Let's say I'll take the example of any manufacturing company. Like I'll go for pharma company. Okay, Novartis is a manufacturing company, a pharma company. It's a basically pharma company. Let's say they have purchased SAP. So who will sell the SAP software? SAP themselves will sell it, but they can either take it directly from the SAP, or they can actually approach a channel partner like Accenture or IBM, who will help them procuring the licenses. Once the licenses have been procured by Novartis, the software has to be configured according to their company. For example, the moment you receive a mobile phone, you purchase a mobile phone. Immediately after purchasing the mobile phone, you will actually have, okay, so the moment you open it, you have to add the SIM card, you have to do a lot of stuff, and then only it will start working, right? So that is basic. So configuration is something which we have to do mandatorily. From the finance perspective, let's understand this way. Like if there is a bank that needs to be configured in the system, so it has to be done by us, by the consultant, SAP finance consultants. Okay, so and then we have got customization. So what's customization is, once you switch on your phone, there are certain things that you would like to have, good to have, that the desktop screen or the screen display that you want, the ringtone that you want, these all are customizations. It's basically done for you. Even though if you don't do the customization, it still works, but configuration is something which is mandatory. Without configuration, you cannot go ahead and you start using that particular product. So in the SAP software also, we have got, the first thing is configuration, then we are going to do the customization, and then we are going to do the development is all done by the technical people. Please remember that 90% of the development is already done in the SAP system. Just 5 to 10% wherever it is required, we are going to write new code. For example, if you have to create a sales order, you don't have to build it in the SAP software. It's already there. Creating a sales order is already default by there in the standard software. But then what if you want to update a new screen? You want to create a new screen wherein employees have to update about their COVID status. So what exactly happened in COVID? Did they get affected? If they are affected, how many days they have suffered? Because maybe they want to analyze it, because there is some new version of virus coming in, and you have to scan everyone, and so those kind of analysis they want. So definitely that screen is not available in SAP. It's not a standard functionality, right? So who is going to develop it? The development team is going to develop it. So in development, SAP has its own coding language called ABAP by 4, ABAP by 4. Okay, so other than that, we have a lot of other software, other coding languages also, which SAP has included into it, which can be used. So we got configuration. Configuration is done by the functional team, like SAP FI customer, SAP FI is one of the example, and customization is done by everyone, and technical is done by SAP ABAP. So yeah, this is what we have: concept, we got this organization, and versions. So there is another software called data warehousing. In data warehousing, SAP has provided another solution called BW for HANA. So basically, ERP is a core business for SAP. So it's world's yeah, I'll take the questions later. So SAP is world's leading provider of business software solution, and it has got more than 4 lakh customers, and it has got more than 4 lakh 80,000 installations. So all these 4 lakh 80,000 plus installations are not done for a small companies. They are done for biggest companies in the world. For example, Daimler Chrysler, BMW, Novartis, Dr. Reddy Labs, IRCTC, or Bank of America, HSBC, and Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Raymond's. So there are a lot of big companies. List of 4 lakh 80,000 plus installations have been done throughout the world. So that's the whole idea here. Yeah, Funny. So you had some questions, right? First, let's take the questions. Let me clear it off, and then we'll go ahead with the next.
Configurations will start with the first and foremost thing that we have in the configuration is about the company. So configurations, SAP finance configuration is the most important configuration in the entire software, because this is where the actual configuration start. So today we'll understand about a concept of company, and second one is company code. Now what is company in finance is, from the SAP point of view, from the SAP point of view, terminology is company is something which can be a brand. I'll give an example of BMW. BMW can have its company in US, India, or Europe, wherever it is. So but wherever it is, it will have the same brand called BMW. But whereas company code is legal entity. Now, if BMW want to establish their company in a particular country, for example India, they have to abide with all the laws of India. Okay, so they have to maintain a legal entity called BMW India, or whatever name that they would like to go with. Okay, so this particular BMW India happens to be a legal entity. Now when we are doing the configuration, company is not mandatory, but company code is mandatory. Company code will always suggest the legal entity. Okay, so in our case it's BMW India. Now what we will do is, like, if you have to configure, we have to have a technical name. We have to have a technical name for the company and company code. So what I would do is, like, I will go ahead with a particular name. For a technical name would be something like BMW International. Okay, BMW International is a technical name for company, and then company is something like BMW I, just BMW I. So what happens here is, this can be of only 4 characters. This will be of 4 characters, and this company can be of 6 characters. 6 character, this can be the technical name. The technical name should be something like this, and we cannot have more than 4 characters for the company code. So now let us configure the company and company code both, and we'll try to link them also. So linking also will be having, so we'll link. Okay, that is something which we'll do. So let us go ahead and go ahead with. So the first and foremost thing that we have to do is, we have to go with a transaction code called SPRO. SPRO is the transaction code where we are going to do this process. Okay, transaction code. This is called transaction code. As of now, you can just understand this as a transaction code is something which you can understand it as a something like a website link kind of thing. Okay, this is what we have, SPRO. So we'll go with SPRO transaction, and then we'll go ahead with and do the configurations there. So I'll go with SPRO, enter. So I need questions in the last, or at the beginning. Okay, not in the middle. Okay. So we have got this one, and we have got this. So I'll go with SPRO transaction, and in this, when I go to the SPRO transaction, we need to click on this SAP reference IMG. No matter which module, whether it might be finance, manufacturing, or sales, any configuration will start with this SAP reference IMG. So then we need to go ahead and open the enterprise structure. So this is the enterprise structure. In the enterprise structure, we'll have the definition part. In the definition part, we'll have the financial accounting.
In the financial accounting, we'll have something called defined company. Now, what are we going to do is, let's first go ahead and create a company, and then we'll go ahead with the company code as well. So define company. I clicked on define company, and now I'm clicking on new entries. Okay. In the new entries, I'll give it as something like BMW IN. Okay. International, BMW International. And then we have got this BMW International. Okay. And then we have got this as a global. So we go for this one as, so we can give all these details if at all if we have, but right now we'll go for save India, and then we'll go for new request, then say save, say okay. Okay, so this data got saved. So what is happening is that request number whatever we have, that one will be that one I'll explain you. So I told you about the transport request, I'll discuss that later, but right now we'll go ahead with the concept of BMW, and then we have got this back. Now we'll go with edit company, edit copy delete check company code. So this is a mandatory thing, company code is mandatory. So I will go for this one and go for copy delete check company code or edit company code. So I'll go for edit company code, and I'll click on new entries. In the new entries, I'll give it as BMW I. As I told you, it can have only 4 characters, it cannot have more than one, and this 4 characters whatever we have in the company code should be unique. Okay, so it should be unique. I'll go for this BMW India, and then I'll go for this city as say Delhi, and then we have got this country as India, currency as INR. So these are mandatory, currency is mandatory, and now English language also will give it as English. Save. So can we give title as Mr. So this is a new request, we can save it in the same request, or we can create a request. If you want to create a request, we need to click on this and new request. So as I told you, new request for save, say okay, and now it's saved. Now what are we going to do is, now it's once it's been saved, we can go ahead and link that. So now this happens to be a legal entity, and all our configurations that we are going to do in the future will be based and linked to company code, not to the company. Okay, so it will always be company code. Now we have got this definition part, and then we have got the assignment part. So in the assignment part, we'll have something like financial accounting, and this assign company code to company. So we need to select this, and in this we'll go with the position, and I'll check for BMW I. Say okay. And for BMW I, there is no company, so we'll just give the name as BMW INT and save. Enter. Say okay. Now it got saved successfully. So we have successfully created the company with a technical name called BMW INT, and we created a company code with the name BMW I, and then we assigned this company code to company. This is what we have done. So this is something which we need to understand, and also do this in the practice session, so that like you will get the actual understanding of it. Okay, this is the first basic starting of configuration.
So here in this session, we're going to start the financial accounting general topics. So what are all the general topics that we have in financial accounting? From the SAP's perspective is something which is very important for us to understand to get an overall picture of what we are going to do in the projects. So the financial accounting FI application component fulfills all the international requirements that must be met by the financial accounting department of any organization. It provides the features, like a lot of features are there, but few of the features which are very important for us to understand are the management and representation of all accounting data, open and integrated data flow, and then we have got the preparation of operational information to assist strategic decisions making within the organization. So these are the few things which make it very important for us to understand. So integration, we have got the integration of financial accounting with the other components like logistics, controlling human resources and all. That is something which we need to understand. And then we have got, so these integration with other departments, how are we going to do and what will be the impact of it is something which we need to understand. Okay, so then the core area in the sense like where exactly we do the development. Okay. So the core area of finance happens to be the general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, bank accounting, asset accounting, funds management, travel management, and special purpose ledger. In this, the main four core concepts that we normally do a lot is the general ledger accounting, account payable, accounts receivable, and then the asset accounting. But here, banking accounting, funds management, travel management, and special purpose also are very important for us to understand. So these are the various components of financial accounting that comprises of this. These are the sub components that we have. These are the integration areas that we have. So as asset accounting is a part of our finance, but whereas accounts receivable and accounts payable, and then we have the controlling, material management. So we integrate with controlling, material management, human capital management, treasury and risk management, travel management. These are all the various other subcomponents with which we get connected from the finance. Because it's very important that we you see, for example, if an employee joins, his employee details will be there in the human capital management. But having said that, the finance department has to pay the salaries, right? So that is where we need the integration between the human capital management and finance. Similarly, for material management also, if we procure something, we have to pay. If we procure something, then we have to pay to the vendors. If we sell something, we have to receive the payment. So these are all things we can do. So this is a fiscal year that we were talking about the other day, right? We have a time period. Okay, let me also share this link with you. Okay, I'll share this. It's an SAP official link, so I will be sharing it with you. Now here we have got 12 months for which a company is required to provide its physical inventory count and a balance sheet. So the fiscal year may correspond exactly to the calendar year, but this is not obligatory. So what I mean to say is like if there might be a situation where the financial year starts in Jan and ends in December, but that's very rare because in India we start the financial year in April and end in March. But same thing in In US, it's July. It starts in July and ends in June. So something like that. So we got the structure. A fiscal year is divided into posting periods. Each posting period is defined by a start date and end date before we can post documents, and we have to define the posting periods and thereby the fiscal year in our system. So in addition to the posting periods, you can define special periods for the year end closing as well. So as we discussed on the other day, we have 12 posting periods and 4 special posting periods in non-leading ledgers. So this it's possible to directly post to the ledger with more than 12 periods using transaction FB01L, and you can do so only in the ledger groups that have a representative ledger that does not contain more than 12 periods. And you need to create a fiscal year having posting periods if you want to assign your business transactions to different time periods. Defining the fiscal year is mandatory. Okay. So without the fiscal year postings configuration, we cannot go further for any kind of configurations. That's very simple. So this is the path where we can go and do the fiscal year, which we have already done in the sessions, right? So we'll discuss that. So here we have this is a calendar year, January to say December, something like that. Now definition of the fiscal year is like the period start, when the period is starting and when the period ends. So this is something which we have. Now if you see here, it's very clear that we have in the fiscal year we can also change the number of days. But right now it's proposing that the number of days in the first month is 31, second month is 29, third month is 31. It's a calendar year. For calendar year, we are planning the number of days. If you can see down below the period end, the period ends after 31 days, 29 days, 31 days, something like that. Now, in a non-calendar fiscal year, what happens is we have to decide which year happens to be in which month. For example, we are taking an example here where the fiscal year starts in April. Now, if the fiscal year starts in April, then what we have is the period will be, it starts with 1 year. If you see, if April is the first month, okay, so there's an arrow mark here which states that this is the first month, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then it comes to the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and then the January will be considered as 10th month, 11th month, and 12th month. So since that goes to the next year, because if I'm considering 2025, so it will go to 2026. So that's the reason year shift we are giving it as -1 for only that 3 months, so that it will come back to 2025, not 2026, because calendar year is 2026 and our actual period is 2021 and 2025. And then we have got the posting periods. So as we were about to do the configuration for posting period from calendar months, here is the explanation about that, wherein we consider each month as a posting period. Each month is considered as a posting period. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this 1 month is a posting period. Now here end of period. So when the period ends, we can control for how many days they can do the posting for that particular month. For example, let's say we have got the second month. We have got the first month, second month, third month, fourth month, right? Now this is April. Now in April we are scheduling it that for the April month, whatever postings are there that are allowed till May 15th. So we are taking a grace period of 15 days for posting. So if just in case you have already got the itinerary or you already got the delivery of goods, but you have just took some time, or maybe there are some holidays, or because of some reason you are not able to update it in April, you can still update that in May till 15th. So you have got the 15 days of grace period where you can actually do the updates. Okay, so in this example, the system would determine the following posting periods and fiscal year from the following. So this is what we have. The year shift is for the 3 months. your specific fiscal year variance. These are the things that we have. This is a calendar year. So this comes from Jan to December. So one type of week-based fiscal calendar is the 445 fiscal calendar, in which the fiscal year is split into 4 fiscal quarters with 3 fiscal periods each. So this is what we have. So the first and second periods have 4 weeks, and the third period has 5 weeks in leap years. So leap year is something which we need to take care, because one day will be one day shift will be there, right? So that's something which we have to focus on when we are creating the fiscal year. Special periods, yeah, just for adjustment. So special periods are like, for example, like, yeah, 13, 14, 15, 16 are the special periods. 1 to 12 are the posting periods. So how do we determine the posting periods? So posting periods are something which we open and close. So we will decide the end date of a posting period. So mostly posting periods are something where we don't name them. This by default they are months, but then we'll do the we do exactly that particular date for this particular date, this particular thing. It's like that. So entire posting date, entering a document. So the system determines the posting period automatically for each ledger when posting based on posting date entered consisting of month and fiscal year. So opening and closing the posting periods, this is what we have to do. Opening and closing the posting periods is something which we have to do. So this is an account interval that we have got this one. So this is all about the currencies. We'll discuss about the currencies later, because we have to do the hands-on as well as the theoretical concept in parallel. So I will immediately share this link to this document in our chat, so you can just go through that, and about the especially about the fiscal year variance and posting period variance, and then we will see how to open and close the posting periods. And then we've got the master data, we have got this one GL account and all. Yeah, okay, fine. So from here we'll take it forward in the next session.
Our course with the very basic concepts of ERP, because ERP is the concept on which SAP has come up with a lot of softwares, in which S4 HANA is one of them. Now there is a very important concept that we need to understand, is that even before we started the ERP concept, there was a very popular concept called MRP. MRP stands for Material Resource Planning. This is what we have discussed. And then ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning, which happens to be a generic term, Enterprise Resource Planning. So this is a generic term that we have. Now in MRP and ERP, a lot of companies are there, but initially there was only one company who came up, and it is quite popular, that is SAP. Now ERP is SAP, in which we discussed that ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning, and SAP stands for Systems, Applications and Products in Data Processing. Systems, applications and products, all plural, okay, and products.
in data processing. Okay, now this SAP is a company. SAP AG is a company which was started in Waldorf. Waldorf is a place in Germany, and this was started by 5 ex-IBM employees, and this was started in the year 1972. So in 1970s, what we discussed that these people, these 5 ex-IBM employees came, started SAP AG, and then they started off a software called real-time software, then real-time 2-tier software, then real-time 3-tier software, and now we are using then in 2000 they have introduced something called ECC, which happens to be ERP central component, and then in the 2010, after 2010, in that particular decade, they started off something called SAP S4HANA, in which SAP S4HANA Finance happens to be the something which is a one particular module which is related to functional. Now, I discussed that there is a concept, like I was talking about a concept, like I've taken an example of a car. Car is a concept, like mobile phone, car, these are all concepts, but BMW is a specific company who manufactures cars, right? Now, BMW is very popular for manufacturing cars, and X7 is one model of the car. Similarly, ERP is also a concept, just like car is a concept. Anybody can manufacture a ERP software, provided it should have the basic features of an ERP. That's what we discussed. And then we have got the SAP. SAP is one company who is very popular in this ERP softwares, and S4HANA is one of the softwares. That is what we have discussed. Now going forward, we need to understand the various versions of SAP and what are our roles and responsibilities. Please understand that even before we start off with learning about the software, we need to be very clear about what would be our role as a consultant, what will we be doing actually. That's what is something very important. We need to be clear before we start off. So we need to understand that SAP, let's say I take an example, S4HANA. This is a software which is provided by SAP, and this software is provided by SAP, and we have to purchase it from SAP. So let's take a scenario wherein there is a pharma company called Novartis. Novartis is a pharmaceutical company who would like to manage and operate the entire organization on SAP. Then what does Novartis do is, Novartis is going to purchase the software from SAP, S4HANA software, they are going to purchase from SAP. So if they purchase it, then you have to customize and configure it. Since Novartis is a pharma company, they are not going to go ahead and customize and configure it. They are going to look for a software company who is going to customize and configure the standard software. For example, let's take the example of Accenture. Now, Accenture is a company who is an implementation company. Now, Novartis can either approach SAP for the softwares, or they can approach Accenture, which will help them acquire the licenses from SAP, because they are partners. Accenture is a channel partner. There are more than 2,500 companies who are topmost companies in the world, software companies who are partners to SAP. Okay, and they will have a very good deal about them. Okay. Fine. Okay, so Novartis is one company who is going to purchase the software because they want to manage the entire company on that software, and then Accenture is one of the company who is going to implement it. Okay, so now as I told you, 2,500 plus companies are there who are partners for SAP. Now going forward, what we have here is like now once the software is purchased, please remember that SAP standard software, for example S4HANA, is 90% ready for client. Now in our example, who is the client? Novartis. This is 90% ready, but the 10% is something which they need after purchasing the software, which is done by our company like Accenture. They will be understanding the requirement of the company, and accordingly they will do the implementation for that particular company. That's what will be done by Accenture. Okay, now when we have to work we will be sitting in this kind of a company where we are going to do this 10% of the customization configuration, because 90% of the standard is already done by SAP. So, SAP has their own company called SAP SAP company, in which they will have employees who will develop the software. So, the actual software is developed by the SAP's company employees, but now we have to do the customization configuration according to the client. So, let us take a simple example of a phone. When you purchase a smartphone, it is 90% ready for you to use, but 10% of customization configuration is something which you have to do. For example, you have to add the SIM card, you have to configure the login email IDs, accounts, you have to create one account. These all things have to be done, right? Similarly, in the SAP software also we are going to do that. So, let's understand, let's take an example of Novartis as your grandmother. So, your grandmother can use the phone, but she cannot configure and customize it according to that. So, she will give you some amount and she will tell you to do it, or she'll give you some chocolate or something and she'll tell you you do that customization configuration and you will do that. So, what you are trying to do is you are trying to help your grandmother to start using it. So, Novartis is such a company. You can compare your grandmother to Novartis. Like they need all the customization configuration according to their business, which they will give it to Accenture, and Accenture will do it, because Accenture is an experienced company in the software field, right? So, that's what they will do it. So, this 10% of the work that we have to do, the major part is configuration. What are we going to start off our work with is, we are going to start our work with configuration. Now, even before the configuration happens, there is administration part that is decided. Like administration part means what? How many employees are going to work in this on this software, how much load happens, how many logins are needed. So, there are a lot of things that actually Novartis has to tell, and accordingly they will purchase the licenses. Let's say if Novartis says that we need 1,000 people log in, 1,000 employees are going to log in, then 1,000 licenses have to be purchased, 1,000 logins have to be purchased from SAP software. Okay, SAP company. Similarly, then configuration part is where the functional team will be understanding their requirement. Now, we will follow a standard process to do the configuration, which we are going to discuss in detail in the coming sessions. And configuration is something which is mandatory. Without configuration, you cannot go ahead and do it. So, what are the configurations that we have to do as a functional consultant is something that I am going to tell you detailedly. Mandatory in the sense, like, see, I'll give you an example. Now, if I have to do a bank transactions from one company to another company through the software, I need to have this bank accounts been configured. That if the bank account is not configured, then I cannot pay. Okay, that is mandatory. So, configuration is always something which is mandatory. Then we have something called customization. Customization is something which is good to have. Like a client needs certain things. For example, I'll give you an example of same bank transaction if you are doing from Novartis to some vendor company, like let's say Dr. Reddy Labs. They are paying to Dr. Reddy Labs. Then when they are paying, if they are paying some let's say minimum below 1 lakh rupees, or say below say $1,000, then they don't need any further approvals. But if it is more than $1,000, they have to go for approvals. And if it is more than $1 lakh or $10,000, then you have to actually take a second level of approval. These all are customizations which needs to be there for the client. Okay, so we are going to do first the configuration, which we are going to learn the configuration. As a consultant, you should be knowing what exactly is the configuration according to your module, and then what is the customization. Now, configuration is different for different modules. Finance, there is a different configuration. Material management, there is a different configuration. Sales will have a different configuration. Each module will have its own configuration. After customization, there is something called development. Now,
who is going to do the development in ABAP is, as SAP technical team is going to do the development. Now, this SAP technical team, the major module that we have is ABAP by 4. ABAP by 4 actually stands for Advanced Business Application Programming Language. 4 stands for 4th generation, okay, and this is a language that is very much similar to the SQL language and all. It's a very easy to understand language, but this is done by the technical team. For example, whoever is coming from the engineering background and all, they learn the ABAP and they will going to work on that particular module. So, as I told you, I will make a note of this full form of ABAP. ABAP stands for Advanced Business Application Programming Language. Now, this happens to be SAP's own language. They have created it. See, Java is an open source language and we can develop lot of things on Java. Python is also open source language, but ABAP by 4 is not an open source language. It's a language which is primarily created by SAP only, okay, and only for their purpose, only for their developments, okay. Now, if you have to see, I told you that whatever the client needs, first we will go for configuration part, then customization. Even before we go for configuration customization, we will have something called administration part. Then, if let's say you have a requirement which is not fulfilled by the standard software, then the development team has to be intimated to develop it. For example, there is a new screen that needs to be developed for updating the COVID status of employees. So, COVID status of employees is something which is not a part of standard software. So, who is going to develop that new pages and all? The technical team is going to develop the new pages, okay. And why do we write 4 is 4th generation. 4 stands for 4th generation. That's the full form of ABAP by 4. Advanced Business Application Programming. 4 stands for 4th generation, okay. Now, going forward, like, so each one of us have a different role, and we have got the standard software needs to be purchased, and remaining 10% we have to sit in the software company and do all this stuff, okay. And this is the roadmap for doing all the developments. First administration, then configuration, customization, development. Now, going forward, what we'll have is we'll have a roles and responsibilities. What would be our roles and responsibilities is based on our designation. So, if you are technical people, you have to develop something. If we are functional people, you have to do the configuration and customization. If you are admin team, you are into admin team, you have to do the maintenance of the software, implementation in configuration. I mean, like so installation of the software and all these things done by the administration part. This is what we have. Okay, going forward, we have something called S/4HANA. This is a very important concept. See, till 2010, SAP always used best databases in the world. Whatever database is in the world, they used to use the database. Now, please remember that we need to understand what is a hard disk, database, and software, which is on the top of it. So, what is hard disk and what is database is what we need to understand. Let's say you have a library, okay. So, you can compare this, you can compare the hard disk as library, database as racks in the library, and software as something like the books or the data. Software in the sense the data that we have in the software is in the books. So, what happens is in every software, before we install a software in the hard disk, we first install the database. So, on top of database we will have the software. So, whatever data we store, that will be stored in the form of tables. So, in database we will always have tables. Data is stored in tables. These are called database tables, okay, and these are equivalent to the racks. So, if you do not have the database, it will be equivalent to a library without racks. If a library without racks, putting all the books in the middle of the library, it will be like, it will be very clumsy, right. So, for that we have a database table. So, database tables will actually enable us to
arrange all the data in a very sequential manner. This is what we have. Okay. Now, going forward, what we need to understand here is that we need to, okay, so why are we understanding this is very important concept. This is a very important concept. Okay, I'll tell you about that in detail. Now, SAP software till ECC used to work on top of any database. So, let's say this is a software, okay, database software. Now, in the back end we have something called database. So, database will be something like HANA database. No, previously we had something called, no, HANA database was not there at that time. We had something like Oracle database, or it could have been SAP ECC software only, and they could have been used in using a SQL database. SQL database is by SAP, by Microsoft. Okay, so what these clients, in our example we were discussing about Novartis, right? So companies like Novartis used to purchase the database from this Oracle or Microsoft, and then they used to purchase a software from SAP. Okay, so this is how it used to be working in the past, but then in 2010 SAP introduced their own database called HANA database. So from SAP S4 HANA, the database is HANA database. So we were having the HANA database. Okay, so we have got the HANA database, and why they introduced is to make sure that they come with a complete application. See, in the past till 2010, before 2010, all the hardware used to be purchased from different vendors. For example, Intel used to sell the motherboards and processors and all, and the hard disk used to be sold by SanDisk or something. So and HP used to sell some hardware. So in that way they used to purchase hardware from different vendors. Then they used to purchase database from another vendor. Then they used to come to the SAP for just the software. But now SAP is providing it as an appliance. Now what is an appliance? Appliance is a combination of hardware plus software. Just like your smartphone is a combination of hardware and software. Okay, so if I just go to someone and tell, if I go to a shop and ask them, I want a Samsung phone, but I want Android operating system, they say it's not possible, because it is a combination. Like it will come completely, the phone comes in the form of a package which will have the hardware and software together. That's called an appliance. So now SAP started providing only appliances after the 2010. So 2010 to 2015 they had this slow development and all, and slowly they have moved this process or this way of providing the software for all the companies, for all the solutions that they provide. Okay, now SAP not just has ERP solutions, they also have CRM solutions, customer relationship management solutions, supply chain management solutions, data warehousing solutions. So there is another concept called data warehousing. What is data warehousing? I'll tell you later. So in data warehousing, SAP provided another software called data warehousing. In data warehousing, they have provided another software called BW or BI or BW for HANA. This all. Okay, so we have got these softwares, and we have, so SAP provides lot of softwares in lot of different concepts, but then ERP concept is very popular. It's their world's #1 in ERP. Okay, so now we have got this all, and Now let me tell you that now in ERP solution itself, Oracle also has its own software. Okay, Oracle also has its own software called in ERP. This is called Oracle Apps. And then we have ERP 365, Microsoft ERP 365. Lot of companies have come up with this. Oracle has come up with Oracle Apps. Okay, and they have lot of versions of it, Oracle Apps. Okay, so a lot of versions are there in ERP. Now moving forward, what we need to understand is we need to go ahead and understand about the concept of how are we going to proceed with the project. Okay, so what are the different types of projects that we have and all. But now let me tell you that major difference between we going ahead from the old version of SAP ECC and S4 HANA is the backend database. Okay, so the backend database is different. HANA database will be there in the SAP S4 HANA, and SQL or Oracle any other database will be there for ECC. So that's the primary change, but most of our work will be similar. The concepts are very much similar. Navigation might change slightly. Okay, slight changes, but the core will not change at all. The core of configuration and all will be same. But when it comes to S4 HANA Cloud, it might be slightly different, which we are going to discuss later. Okay, so this is about the hardware and database and software concept. And now SAP is rolling out all the softwares in the form of appliances, and appliance is a combination of hardware and software. Okay. Fine. So taking forward from here, now if let's say so there will be basically types of projects in which we might have to work. So if it's the first project is implementation project, second is support project, third is rollout project, fourth one is migration project. Okay, so we need to understand what are we going to do in the implementation project, what are we going to do in the support project, rollout project and migration project, how our roles and responsibilities will be there, how it is changing in the each type of project is something which we need to understand. Okay, so then when we start working on the system, we will be very clear about what is happening and all. So we are understanding the overall big picture. So once we understand the big picture, when we go into our actual work, it will be very clear for us. FICO or S4 HANA Finance. This is one very important concept, S4 HANA Finance. And in SAP FICO also, SAP FICO. So in this, there is very important concept called chart of accounts. Now what is chart of accounts and how it works is something which we need to understand. Okay, and once we understand this, we'll also do the configuration of this in the system. So it is basically referred to as COA, and it is a master list of all the general ledgers. Master list of all general ledgers. And see, before we start ahead and understand about the chart of accounts, we need to understand about what exactly is general ledger. Okay, so basically general ledger is a general ledger, or it's called GL popularly,
it's a central repository. Central repository for all financial transactions. For all the financial transactions, it's a central repository. It provides a comprehensive overview of the company's external accounting. Now, transactions are recorded on the GL, which represents the financial items like assets, liabilities, revenues, and expenses. Okay. Now, let me put it this in a simple way. Now, you are in an organization, and the organization will pay amount to some vendors. Okay, and now the organization will receive amount from customers or clients. Now both these happens to be the external transactions that we are doing. All the external transactions that we are doing out of the organization, whether we are paying it out or receiving the amount, will be forming a part of GL. Okay, not just these, even if we have the assets or liabilities. Now what are the assets? If the organization is owning a building or owning a land where we have a plant, okay, its own plant, then it will be considered as a asset. If there is anything that we are hiring on a rent basis, it's a liability. And if there are employees, they are liability. If there are anything that we have to pay, like bank loans are considered as liabilities. So these all also will form a part of the GL accounts. So we'll have assets, and then we'll have assets are basically like our whatever we have, like for example a plant or buildings, land, these all come under the assets. Liabilities are like loans, or like some say payments, any payments that we have to do, like rents or expenses. These all are liabilities. Okay, where every month or every year or every day we have to pay something outside, it will be a liability. But asset is something where we are going to the asset value normally can increase or decrease. That we'll discuss later, but these all will form a part of the general ledger. So we maintain all these things at the central repository for all the financial transactions. Okay, and then the system integrates with other business areas to ensure data accuracy and all GL accounts for a company. Okay, and we are going to discuss more in detail about the key aspects of the general ledger. Like we have got the central repository, we'll have the GL accounts, chart of accounts, integration, transaction posting, master data. These all things we'll discuss about that step by step. Okay, now see, let's go ahead with the chart of accounts. Okay, so what exactly is a chart of account? Chart of account, now coming to the chart of accounts. So GL is clear, right? GL is somewhere anything that we do, the external transactions or internally, if we have the assets and liabilities, these all will form a part of the GL. Okay, now then we have the chart of accounts. Okay, and in chart of accounts, as I was telling you, let me write this. It's a master list of general ledgers. Master list of general ledgers. I'll clearly explain you with a simple terminology. Okay, and this accounts will be used by an organization for recording financial transactions. It is defined to
Yeah. So I was just telling about the different types of chart of accounts. Now, it's a master list of generators. Uh, there are different types of chart of accounts like operating chart of accounts, group chart of accounts, and country-specific chart of accounts. Okay. So what is a chart? Chart of accounts is a chart of complete details. Okay. So let me just put it this way. Now, let's say we have client, customer payments we are receiving, right? So all the customer payments that we receive, we might receive customer payments through phone pay or google pay or anything, and then we have the accounts, bank accounts, or through cash. Okay, these all we are receiving. So if we receive, then we will create one chart of accounts which is related to only receiving the payments. If you are paying the payments, if you are making the payments to the vendors, then we will make a different list. Okay, so what exactly we are doing here is we are making a list of all the accounts. This is considered as chart of accounts. Now we're going to create them for different types of payments, receiving and receiving and also paying it. Okay, so basically what are the functions of the chart of accounts is operating chart of accounts, we'll have group chart of accounts, and then we have the country specific chart of accounts. These are the three types of chart of accounts that we'll have normally in the SAP. And then we'll go ahead with the we'll create the chart of accounts in the system. Okay, so in we'll log in into the SAP system and we'll create the chart of accounts for that. Okay, ah, let me just once get into this. Okay, and yeah, meanwhile by the time I open the SAP log on, okay. So, basically the chart of accounts is a variant that contains the structured list and basic information of general ledger accounts. It is used by an organization. Okay, and it happens to be the backbone of the financial accounting. If it's not configured in this system, so can you please share your screen? I'll just tell you about that. I mean, before you share the screen, before okay, I just want to first explain you that what is the chart of accounts that we are going to maintain. Okay, so we will maintain different chart of accounts for different things. Now a chart of accounts will maintain, let's say for our example, we'll maintain the chart of accounts for assets separately, for liabilities separately. Then we have say something like revenue and expenses. Revenue is receiving the amount and expenses is like spending the amount. Okay, so these are the four different. Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes. Okay, so um, will you be able to share the screen? Okay, so we will just give some names here, like we'll give some number assets, we'll give some number, and
liabilities will give some number, so we'll maintain that. So we can just put it this way, like we can give, say, our example assets, for all the assets we'll give it as some 1000, for all liabilities something around 2000, revenue 3000, expenses some 4000, so something like that we can give it. Okay, so we're going to do this in the system. Telling about is the fiscal year. Fiscal year is very important concept, and in this, like as I was telling you, every country has its own start month and end month of a fiscal year. Now in this case, I'm taking an example of India, where we have the fiscal year starting in April and ending in March, and in some countries it starts in June and ends in May. So each country has its own fiscal years. Accordingly, we'll configure. So I was telling that if the fiscal years, assuming that the fiscal year starts in April, then this will be the first month of the year. First month of 2025 fiscal year is April, and next is May, June. So like that. Now here this will be the second month. Okay, then we have got this third month. Okay, July, fourth, August, fifth. So in this way we have all this, and going forward, let me just say September. September is 6th. October is 7th. November is 8th fiscal year. 8th fiscal year. 8th. I mean, like in that particular fiscal year, November is considered as 8th, and then December is 9th. Now comes, this is very important. Why I am writing all this is to explain you that Jan we have 10th, and Feb is 11th, and March is 12th. Now if you see, if you observe here, what we have is, like, we will have this is 12th. Now in this, if you see, we will have the next fiscal years, next calendar years 3 months taken as a fiscal year, as a part of this fiscal year of this year. So what happens to January, March, April of 2025? So Jan, Feb and March, Jan, Feb and March of 2025 is not a part of the 2025 fiscal year. It's a part of 2024 fiscal year. So till here it is 2024 fiscal year. Yes. See, we are starting the sorry.
మళ్ళీ అప్పుడు జనవరి, ఫిబ్రవరి, మార్చ్ వచ్చేస్తే జనవరి 2026 వస్తాయి కదా.
That will be January 2026 is here. 10th month is, this is 2026.
Okay.
This is 2026. So now I'm going back to previous year. I mean, like the same 2025. What happens to the 2025 Jan, Feb, March? If you see, 2025's Jan, Feb, March will be considered into the 2024 fiscal year, just like the 2026 Jan, Feb, March is considered as
2025 fiscal year, right? So in the same way here, Jan Feb March of 2024 is considered as a part of previous fiscal year. So for these 3 months we will write the year as -1. Here -1. So why we write -1 is, even though the calendar year is 2025, even though the calendar year is 2025, we will be considering them as a part of 2024 fiscal year. So for these 3 months of 2025, we will write it as -1 at the year, because it's a part of 2024 fiscal year. Similarly, when we are using the 2026 calendar year, these 3 calendar year, it will be a part of 2025 fiscal year. So while mentioning the fiscal year, we will mention it as -1. Okay, this is how we are going to do it. Okay, so this basic concept we need to understand. This is a fundamental concept that we need to understand.
ఓకే మామ. సో బేసికల్ గా 2025 లో ఉంటే జనవరి, ఫిబ్రవరి, మార్చ్ వచ్చేసి 2024 లో 10th, 11th, 12th మంత్ అవుతుంది అనమాట.
Exactly.
మన ఇయర్ లో 12 మంత్స్ ఉన్నందుకు మన ఫిజికల్ ఇయర్ ఏప్రిల్ నుంచి నెక్స్ట్ ఇయర్ మార్చ్ వస్తున్నందుకు ఆ 3 కూడా కౌంట్ అవుతుంది. నెక్స్ట్ ఇయర్ ఆ 3 వచ్చేసి అక్కడ కౌంట్ అయిపోతుంది అనమాట, మైనస్ తో పాటు.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, meanwhile, let's do this process on the system. Okay, let's do it on the system.
ఓకే మామ.